Hey everyone, it's Types, and Abyssai has been out in Japan for a little while, and Pitch Black is coming out internationally soon-ish, I guess. We've been getting some updates on it. Specifically, we've seen some cards revealed in English or internationally, and we've also seen the pre-release promos revealed, and I guess we got the translation of this. The thing translated here as Phantom Hind. So I'll talk about that deck, as well as a bunch of other cards from the set, and just Ragium here on the tier list. I've actually made this tier list a few times now because, well, things I guess have changed. I don't know if change is quite the right word, but we've seen the meta play out in Japan a bit more, and just a bunch of different things. But anyways, here is the tier list. I will say there are some cards that I don't have on this tier list that are okay. I don't think they're super worth talking about, but not all the cards that are missing are necessarily unplayable. I'll also mention the Bayonet from this deck here. We'll just say it's translated as Hide and Sneak is not on here. It's not a necessarily bad card. I don't think it's a super usable card in terms of you want to be like putting into play and attacking with it, but it is still a card that is going to be played and has a place in terms of actually being used to attack with some, kind of like I'd say Monkey Dory is used to attack some, but obviously that's not the reason you're playing it. But anyways, we have a bunch of different cards here, and the tiers are top tier staple. This is a little tricky with good decks. Right now we have a good deck. Yeah, that's it. We have one good deck. So obviously Dragon Ball EX would go in a tier like this if that was in the set. The question is, if there was a deck that's deck number 2, would that then go in like pretty good? Would that go in kind of this mediocre tier? So I decided that pretty good here. This is going to be for decks that are still like playable. If it's like a main attacker of a deck that's playable, or like staple card or like support cards are going to be not true staples, but played in a good chunk of decks. That'll end up in pretty good too. Mediocre is going to be mediocre like in a serious level of play. Some of the more I'll say mediocre decks, the decks that don't see tons of play, but you see some, you should be somewhat familiar with, but don't necessarily know the ins and outs of all the decks. Is kind of the idea there, in terms of how played they are, and then also in terms of how good they are. They're decent. They're not decks that are like weird rogue decks, but they're just okay. The like borderline of the meta decks, and then you have maybe playable. These are going to be looking at more your rogue decks, some like more mediocre cards. Terms of mediocre, maybe not even crossing that line into playable, as opposed to the mediocre tier is actually mediocre in terms of being playable. The kind of more underwhelming cards that are playable. Maybe playable is slipping out of that tier. Not good is just cards that you're not really gonna expect to see much play at all. And then unplayable is really bad. I don't know if I'll have anything unplayable here. I think I'll have some stuff in not good, but I'm not sure on that. Actually, I think I will, but maybe playable will have some cards. You're looking at most stuff probably in pretty good, mediocre, and maybe playable. Staple is a pretty high bar. Not good. I mean, there are lots of cards in the set that are not good, but most of those I've cut from the tier list because they're also not usually very interesting. Anyways, we have the first card to talk about here. This is probably, it might be the elephant in the room. This is Mega Extra Drill EX. Mega Extra Drill EX is a card that can do 330 for 5. That's its main thing. It can do 200 for 3. It can do 90 for 2. It can build 2 when you do 90 for 2. This card has been played in Japan. Let's see. Is it in so it's not in City League. That's the wrong time. Mega Astral has seen play with Matang, and it again can do 3 for 3 there. I don't think this card's super good. It's been seeing some play in Japan. It's been like again seeing some play in Japan. It's not crazy. It was kind of crazy at one point. It was the number 2 deck. It was legitimately played quite a bit there. And at that point, looking at this tier, it would probably end up in this tier. I don't think it belongs in this tier. This is based on what I've seen played, and I also, like to, factor my opinions in, right? There's a reason this is my video, and not just, and anyways, right? And anyone can look at data, and you can see the data, right? You can see like on Book, for example, I sometimes refer to the quote tier list that is official of in terms of like plays and stuff like that. But I just don't think this is super good. And I want to, be honest about that. I'm not going to sit here and say like this card, even if it's seeing a lot of play, is necessarily good if it isn't. Right? So I don't think this card's super good. I'm going to put it in the yes mediocre tier. Legitimately, I mean, it doesn't do very much. Well, I guess it does a bunch of damage, but I mean, look at Megas as well. It doesn't one shot. I mean, itself, it doesn't one shot Mega Lucario at the same HP there. So that's not so good. Also expensive. Matang's a little inconsistent. Matang's decent. We've seen Matang in the past with Origin Form Dialga V-Star. That was the main use case of it. I'm trying to think of other use cases of it. I mean, we see it a little in standard with like Metagross and I get there. I don't really know if I've even like seen that deck much. I haven't been grinding standard with Chaos Rising really. I've actually been grinding, if you know, been following my channel and you were just kind of hearing what I'm talking about in some of my videos. I've been talking a bunch about the other format, the build and battle format, but I haven't really. I've definitely been seeing some other decks like Mega Ninja, Beedrill, things like that, and not too much Patang. So I, it's okay, right? It's just like random four cards at the top, or it's not random. It's four cards at the top of your deck, but presumably those cards are going to be random. They are, so you might miss energies, and you can get a bunch out, especially using Genesect DX. But I mean, the upside is decent. It's just like one shots, and you are relatively tanky. Unlike something like, say, I'm trying to think of another deck taking one shots. I mean, yeah, like Raging Bolt, we are less tanky. I mean, this comparing it to Raging Bolt, I feel like Raging Bolt is just so much better. You're gonna be able to take one shots a lot easier at lots of different points in the game and have some more versatility as well. I mean, you're just a basic that gives up two prizes instead of a stage one that gives. Mega X Drill is mediocre. I've gotten to the point where I think it is like probably going to be a deck that's legitimately in the metagame. I mean, I'm kind of thinking about it next to Beedrill EX, and I think it's probably on a similar caliber to that deck being okay. Then we have the next card on this list. I'm just been going in order. The way to order it beforehand. This is the support card Gwen. I think Gwen is super good. Long story short, what it does is it lets you discard two Pokemon that don't have rule boxes from your draw three card discard it in this way. This card is pretty integral to, or at least meant to be featured in the hide and sneak deck. That deck is pretty good, but also I think Gwen is good in general. I've said this a bunch. The support isn't standard other than Lilies in terms of draw are not so good. You have cards like Boss and Crispin, which can be, I think Boss can be really important for winning games, but Boss is a good card. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's not, but if Boss can't really be like a card that you, it doesn't set you up. Long story short, it doesn't set you up at all. I'd much rather have Lily than Boss in a deck. I mean, you want both, right? Obviously, but if I had to pick and choose, I'd definitely choose Lilies. I guess there are cards that do something similar to Lilies, but not really at a super close level. I wouldn't say Boss. There are games where you just like don't really need Boss. There aren't really games where you don't need orders. I wouldn't say. And then you look at like Crispin. Crispin's also good. Crispin is in terms of its actual power level, it's a moderate power level supporter. I'd say, like in the grand scheme of all supporters ranked, Boston Liz would be a bunch above Crispin. Crispin's decent, but I mean we see it on the energy supporters that have just been, I'd say, better than Crispin. Crispin is a safe supporter, but anyway, so you got those supporters, but Boss and Crispin are not like Lilies. Gwen is kind of like Lilies. You get to draw potentially 6 cards, and you discard Pokemon in order to do so. You do have to have those Pokemon and be okay discarding them. Most of the time, those conditions will be like somewhat met where you have the Pokemon, I think will be pretty common, and you're generally playing a bunch of, say, Pokemon Search, specifically Pokepad, and then you also have Night Stretcher. I think those cards are both, I mean, legitimately, I could see them being cards 2 in the game. I think there's a real argument for that. That might be where I stand. I haven't, ranked those cards in a while, but that sounds about right to me. Um, I think I asked this in a previous video. If someone ranked Dragapult and Dracloak at the top, I think if you put them together, I might put that at the top. But if they're separate, they're definitely not at the top. In terms of influence, they are very influential. So are lots of the trainers. They're just thought about less. And I think long story short, Gwen could be at those. Right. So Gwen is, I think, not going to be a staple, but I do think it will be second best draw supporter in the game. I haven't been hearing people talk about it like that too much, but looking at different decks in the game, you see a lot of single prizes in these decks, and so it will be drawing a bunch of cards. Again, I don't think it's a super crazy, absurdly powerful card um, in the grand scheme of all supporters either, but because the supporters right now are relatively outside of Lilies, which is very, very strong, then this will be an adequate number 2. In some ways, it compares to Explorer's Guidance. I think Explorer's Guidance is also underrated, so I think this card is good. I think it's going to go into pretty good tier. Pretty good is like legitimately good. You're only gonna like this is I'd say a card that's I'd say it's a little worse than Galthiax and also Special Red card, which I'd say it's close to Special Red card. I guess, and then a bit worse than Meowth EX, but I think it's in that same tier there. I'd probably put those all in this tier. Admittedly, I was a little high on those before they came out, specifically Meowth. I guess I don't know. I mean, I've found Meowth EX to underperform. And I've heard based like I made a video where I talked about Meowth EX as well as Special Red Card underperforming, but especially specifically Meowth EX because it's been out longer, right? And at the time it was definitely out longer. So Meowth EX is a card that is good, right? It is played a lot, but I think it's a little weaker than people are expecting. Maybe that'll be true for Gwen as well. I mean, again, this is a card that hasn't gotten as much hype as those other two, but I do think it is very good, and I do think it is potentially the best card in this. I mean, I think it's the best card. Speaking of the cards that go with it, though, we have the Hide and Sneak Pokemon, which, by the way, I heard someone say, like a Pokebeast comment saying that Hide and Sneak is just like so much worse than Ghost Veil. I think Ghost Veil is cooler as is it's like it's edgier. Kind of like the set named Pitch Black and Abyssai as well. Those are kind of cool and edgy, but I think so we've seen that it translated here as what's the first? I'll go over Delmise first. So Delmise doesn't have the ability, but Delmise has. Where's Delmise? Here it is. It refers to the ability as Phantom Hide. I think Phantom Hide is like not a very interesting name. I don't like that. I think Hide and Sneak is a little worse than Ghost Veil, but I think it's pretty close. It's a lot more fun and whimsical there. But anyways, Delmise says it does 30. It does 1 photomorph. You have a Pokemon in the discard with the ability Hide and Sneak, and then you're going to be doing 170 there, right? For 1 Psychic, which is pretty good. You can do this relatively, I think, consistently from going second. This card is the main focus of the Hide and Sneak deck. It is not a broken card. I mean, turn 1 is really, really right. This is kind of like, Fan Rotom, or I guess Solrock's probably the best comparison there, where Solrock is a pretty decent turn 1 option. I mean, this is so much better, right, in terms of the amount of damage you do. After turn 1, it's like okay, kind of reminds me of. I'm trying to think of single prizers, maybe Alakazam or something, but those are so much more setup for much higher payoff. So overall, I think this Pokemon is pretty good, right? I'm going to put it into the pretty good tier. I think it is a good Pokemon. You look at Pokemon like Cramorant from the Lost Zone deck. I think it's similar, but I mean this just does more damage. Quite simply, they are different, but this does more damage, and so it's good. It's a very good card here. I think. I don't think by the way, the Hide and Seek deck. I think that the main Pokemon by far is the Delmise here. Obviously, you need the Pokemon with the ability. When I'm ranking Pokemon, by the way, I rank them in terms of how good they are, in terms of like when you actually use them, I guess. So with the Sinistcha has the ability, but I'm talking about like how good it is when it's play with the ability and how good the attack is, and then with Delmise, I'm kind of including the fact that you are like playing these Pokemon with the ability in the deck, and I'm more including that within Delmise. That's just the idea there. And the fact that you need the ability for that is in Delmise. It's not in those other cards. So Delmise is very good. It is going to be the main focus. The other piece kind of meh. I don't think they're. I mean, I think they're okay. I think they're fun as well. I think Delmise actually isn't a very fun Pokemon. I mean, it's not fun. It's just somewhere in the middle. Tomorrow, I think potentially. I'm not sure if I haven't recorded this video yet, but I think I'm gonna be making a video on what I'd say is the most like the best designed and in some ways only particularly fun design card of the Mega era. I need to look through to see if I think that's the only fun design, but I think there's one card that's pretty well designed in a fun way. I'd say Delmise is not a super. I say like the other cards are super fun, but they're also a little more silly. Delmise though is quite simply good damage. And then we have the next one here, which is the Sinistcha. This one has the ability prevents effects of attacks and abilities done to this Pokemon with the ability. It's an okay ability, I suppose. I'm trying to think of use cases, and I can think of some, but they're just kind of mediocre. They're not bad. They're certainly nice, but it's not an ability that is going to make this Pokemon good. Then we have, I didn't mention this as well, Delmise, obviously. Against Dragapult EX or Lotus Clefairy EX, you're taking a one-shot. That's quite good as well. The ability also is good against Dragapult EX, but you're not really looking to play the Pokemon with the ability. You're actually looking to discard them. So, yeah, that's the thing. Then you have Matcha Spin, though, here, which says if you have 6 or more Pokemon with Hide and Sneak in your discard, then you put 4 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. This is an okay spread attack. I mean, it's good. If it didn't have the requirement, I think it would be good, but it does have this requirement, and it's a harder requirement than Delmise. I'd actually I think it would be better balance-wise if they switched it's requiring 4, Delmar is requiring 6 there, but overall, Sinistcha is it's okay, I guess. It's gonna go in the maybe playable here. It's kind of fun. Obviously able to do some decent spread stuff. In terms of synergy with the other, I mean, I'll just pull up the Spirit now. It doesn't really have that much synergy with the Dhelmise, though. It can kind of finish stuff off. I guess it's either mediocre or maybe playable. Based on what I've been seeing in Japan, it's not really been being used, so I'll put it in maybe playable. I mean, it's being played to discard, but you're not, playing it onto your bench there. So then we got the Spiritomb. This one's interesting. If you have 13 more Pokemon in the discard with Phantom Hide, then you choose 2 of your opponent's Pokemon and then quadruple the number of damage counters on them, which I believe is the only use of the word quadruple we've seen in the Pokemon TCG. I think someone mentioned like a weakness being ×4, but that's slightly different there. This uses the number 4 though, so I'm not sure on that. But anyways, you need 13 Pokemon with Phantom Hide or with Hide and Seek in your discard pile out of a total of 16 possible Pokemon. So it is like kind of doable, I guess, but like not really. It's pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. In terms of the payoff, like if you hit something with Dhelmise, you don't need to use Spiritomb. I mean, it will knock it out, but that's like way overkill. And it might not even knock it out if they have like Mist Energy or something. And then you look at the fact that you need 2 Pokemon, and then you like do so much damage. Or if they have been hit by the Sinistcha, then just once, then you're not even knocking him out, really. If you've hit him twice, then you still might not even knock him out. You probably will, and then you're doing some nice stuff, I guess, but that's a lot of setup. This card's so fun. It's pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. I'll put it in unplayable. Realistically, it probably belongs in not good. It is gonna maybe see a little bit of play here and there because it is legitimately very fun. I'm talking about Dhelmise being not fun. Spiritomb is very fun, but pretty bad here. So yeah, this is not Sableye from Lost Zone. Sableye from Lost Zone was easier to get going and also just better, more like safe. Spiritomb, it requires a lot of setup in terms of discarding a bunch of cards and also attacking a certain way. And you can't be attacking too well, otherwise you just won't need it. So yeah, Spiritomb I think is a card that isn't really worth running at all in the deck, unfortunately. But other than just being fun. Then we have, speaking of fun, we have some cards that are not fun, but they are good. And we got the first one, Rust Syndicate Grunt. You can only use this if one of your Pokemon is knocked out last turn. You just discard energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. We've seen supports like this in the past. We see Crushing Hammer. I don't like the design of Crushing Hammer. I like the design of this a lot more. I actually generally like the design of this card, despite being annoying to play against. Funnily enough, I actually like Crushing Hammer. Almost never feels fair. I was playing the other day, actually in person. Someone played Crushing Hammer. It felt shockingly fair. The Crushing Hammer essentially never feels fair for both people. And when it felt fair, it did like something, I guess. It wasn't super impactful. My opponent did flip heads though, and it changed the game a little. So that was cool, I suppose. But this card is your supporter for the turn. Again, supporters are a little less impactful. This is at the point of the game in which, I mean, if you're looking at supporters, you have the early game supporters, you have like the late game supporters. This is going to be a bit more mid game. Played at the very end, then it probably matter too much. Very beginning, you can't play it. So this card is fine, I think. I mean, I think it's pretty solid. Gonna put it in the mediocre tier. I guess, I'll put it above Mega Extra. I think they're pretty close though. Rust Syndicate Grunt is a card that allows you to mess with opponents consistently, and I think we'll see play throughout its time in Standard. I think Mega Extra EX is just a mediocre deck there. Rust Syndicate Grunt probably not gonna be a huge piece in decks really at all. It might be a tech option that you'll play in some games. Some decks won't like getting hit by it. There will be a lot of decks that are relatively fine being hit by it. You look at like Hide and Sneak, just have like 1 energy single price attackers to get knocked out anyways. That'll be like a Dragapult, and it is decent against Dragapult, but it's also decent in Dragapult. If people are like, if someone says that they think a Dragapult is gonna be like not playable with this set, unfortunately they are probably lying to themselves because they don't want Dragapult to be good, which is understandable. But yeah, Dragapult's still gonna be good. Cards like this, even if they're kind of counters to Dragapult, they're also good in Dragapult. So yeah, that's the thing. And I think I've mostly seen this card in Pull. Speaking of, we have another card. This is another Disruptive Trainer, this is Dark Bell. Dark Bell is an item that says it confuses both active Pokemon that aren't Darkness here. The not Darkness thing, like, kind of matters, but I don't know. I mean, mostly this confuses your opponent's active. It's annoying for them, forces them to flip to attack, potentially take some damage as well. So, yeah, I mean, this card is... It's like the card Team Yellhorn, I believe, which we saw a while ago. That card was okay, predominantly in control decks, but Dragon Ball is actually a bit of like a pseudo control deck. You have some stall elements, so it's pretty good here. Pretty good as in like mediocre good. I think it's maybe the best of these. They're all fine. Not legitimately super competitive, game-changing cards, but they're decent. Just decent cards. Then we have Lurantis EX next. Lurantis EX, long story short, you heal, you do some damage. It's kind of hard to heal it though. You need to probably damage yourself first. You're not super tanky. This card is kind of fun. Unfortunately, I think it's not good. I think it is close to being legitimately good. In probably that like mediocre tier, but it's just not really there at all. Needing to heal is pretty rough. We've seen cards like this in the past, and they're super bad. They like this is the best one we've seen like them, but the other cards are just cards that like no one even. Um, so yeah, this card's pretty bad. Being pretty bad. Unfortunately, I think the supporter card Misty's Energy is also pretty bad. It gets 4 water energies from your deck to one of your Pokemon, but it puts it all in one spot, which isn't super amazing. Though it's not terrible, but it does end your turn. So as previously with Kiawe. Water's also just not super good or super energy hungry. There is a Warlord EX, and Icar's not super good either, but they do work together. And I think if you are playing the Warlord EX, you're going to play the Misty's Energy supporter here. But I mean, supporter that ends your turn just is not super good, especially when you have a metagame where, Badoo's good and just attacking is good. I mean, it's the Pokemon TCG. You want to attack, like obviously, and yeah, you just can't do it if you play Misty's Energy. So it's unfortunately, I'll put it in not good. It's not unplayable, but it's. Then we have the Warlord EX here as well to be paired with it. It has so much HP. I think this card's interesting as a stall card, maybe paired with like Professor Terra's Scenario or something. Except Professor Terra's Scenario isn't instant, so I actually think the use cases of this card are like not really very existent. This attack is 270 for 5 and puts itself to sleep. It does have like the highest HP ever, literally, or it's tied for the highest HP ever. But the other Pokemon is a stage 2 Mega. This is a 2 prize stage 1. So Warlord EX is it's tanky. It is very tanky. That's it though. It's just tanky. We've seen cards like this in the past be good as walls, but realistically, I don't think this game. I think it's better just to play like Mega Starmie or something that can like actually attack, have a bunch of less HP, but actually do. Unfortunately, not good here either. Could be funny in some situation, maybe. That situation, we don't have any cards that synergize with it in standard. If you want to heal up a big wall, you need to heal it up completely. We just don't have that. We have stuff like Monkey Dory, even like Shuckle, which you compare with like Lurantis there. And those are deep cards. I mean, Shuckle's not that good. Monkey Dory's pretty good. And that is good, but too much how much HP you have. I mean, you need to have relatively high HP, but certainly Dragapult is fine, or like Mega Starmie or something like that. Like you got some HP there, and those are obviously way better attackers. Then we have the no hand size stuff. This stuff's super fun. Unfortunately, it's kind of not good. You have the Slowbro doing 210 if you have no cards in hand for 1 Psychic. This is okay. It's kind of cool. It's actually not. It's the least I'd say fun of all these cards, maybe, but it is kind of cool. I'd say this card is not good though. Yeah. And then we have the Feeble. This one attacks for 2 colors. If you have no cards in hand, you copy one of your opponent's attacks. Also not good. I guess it's worse than the Feeble. I'm not really gonna order these now that I think about it because they're not good. Not gonna see play it, unfortunately. I don't think I want to play it. I think it's super awesome, but it's not very good. Then we have the Gladion supporter. This one is actually good. Gladion's Final Battle, again, only playable if it's less in your hand. You do 80 more to your points active. I've seen this in Festival with enough Ultra Balls. You can trigger this relatively consistently, I think. So this card's pretty decent. It's really good in Festival. You do 80 more. That's like crazy because that's doubled because you attack twice. It is from non-rule boxes, so you need to keep that in mind as well. Its use cases are a little narrow, but honestly, I didn't think this card was going to be very good. But looking at Japan, it's been doing decently. People are playing it, so it's a mediocre card. It's not a crazy good card, but can be really huge. But also does require some decent setup as well. This is kind of like a Spiritomb, except it's like actually usable. The payoff is more reasonable. Yeah, this card it's okay. Then we have the last of these cards. This one's also really fun. I really like the Sylvali, and I like the Thievul. They're my favorite two. They're not the best two. This one, Search for Support if you have no cards in hand, and yeah, puts it in hand, and has, I guess, a useful-ish attack. But this card is maybe playable. Not good. I suppose it's not good. I really like this card. I feel like if we get something like, I mean, there's a Glaring Meowth or a Duskull. The Duskull is actually banned and expanded, funnily enough, despite not really. I mean, the Dusclops is the problem. But anyways, so it's something like that, which just lets you kind of discard cards, not completely on demand, but relatively on demand. And make this maybe playable. I'll put it in here. I do like this card. It's so fun. It's I don't know, it's not good though. It's not good. I love this card so much. I'm so stoked to play with it. I'll probably play it in expanded. I might play some GLC. I don't really play very much GLC. Like I don't play GLC, but this card is super sick. So really fun. Not good though. Then we have the darkness stuff. Mega Darkrai does damage if you have damage on your bench Pokemon. Also, it can knock out a Pokemon with a special condition. This card is maybe playable. It has some cool stuff going for it, but it's also the Mega. Generally, basic Megas aren't. Some are good, but just doing big damage stuff isn't really worth it. You need some interesting ability there. You don't really have that, unfortunately. It's a little clunky as well. So I'll put it in maybe playable. Pair it with like Characters Box decks with Toxtricity there. Same idea with Chiyu. This one needs damage counters on it, and then it does 90 there, or it does 9 more. So that's like okay as well, maybe playable. I'll put it in the same. Mega Darkrai, I'll put, I guess, right above it. Then we have the special energy, Shadowy Darkness energy. This one stops bench damage done to Darkness Pokemon. This one's probably not really belonging on this tier list. It's not super interesting. I'll put it in not good. It's not very good. The downside of this card, it's not that, like, the downside's not that bad. The upside is not very good. So yeah, not good. It feels fine. You know, the fossil stuff. The fossil stuff is pretty sick here. We first have the Relicanth. This one does 10, 30 more for each fossil on your bench. It can do up to 160. It's interesting. I don't think it will see play, but I'll put it in maybe playable as a single parser. I mean, you can legitimately compare it to Dhelmise in terms of like the stuff it's doing there. Not quite as good as Dhelmise, but it's similar. The deck it fits in, I don't know. I don't know what the deck it fits in. Probably with anti-cover fossil with Tortuga, which is interesting. We'll get to that in just a second, but it's really interesting. It could be this kind of low maintenance deck where you just have like a bunch of fossils as the kind of tricky thing you're doing that requires setup. But the upside also isn't super good here. The upside of Dhelmise is mediocre. The upside of Relicanth is going to be a bit worse. I mean, it is a bit less damage, and different, like I'd say weaker pieces, clunkier pieces around it potentially. So yeah, I'm going to put the Relicanth and maybe playable. Actually, I'll put it above the Darkness Pokemon there. I'll put it above Mega Darkrai. So they're all in the same tier ultimately. Then we have the next card, which is the Bastiodon. This Bastiodon has a really interesting ability, preventing all damage done to your active, put into all your Pokemon, as long as it this is on your bench. So it's a little weird. It doesn't work if it's in the active. So your opponent can gust it up to, I mean, trap it. It's probably gonna get stuck, and also turn off the ability, and then obviously also knock it out there. And then Ancient Wall stops damage to Pokemon with 2 or less energy attached as well. Your opponent can also just attach more energy, but pretty much all the attacks in the game, I think, are not hitting this. I guess there is Mega Extra Drill, which is like definitely hitting this, but other than that, I mean, generally having expensive attacks just is. Actually, no. Now that I think about it, no. There's a bunch of 3 like attackers like Mega Kangaskhan kind of as well. There's some of the grass stuff. It's a pretty mixed bag, I think. Let me look at the metagame, I guess. Got looking at these decks. Ogerpon gets through. I think Alakazam gets through. I believe it's just damage. And some of these other things like kind of get through, but they like kind of sort of get through. So it's okay. I don't really expect it to see play because it is a stage 2 fossil. We'll get to the fossil support in just a second, like the big card. But card is, it's maybe playable. I mean, the ability is legitimately very good. I don't expect this card to see play unless it gets some like weird support card that makes it super easy to get into play that just like puts it right into play, essentially. Like Maxim Baldric from Metal or something, which I don't expect because that card is banned. But If we got something like that, then this could legitimately be good. I guess we've seen fossils like this in the past with the fighting ones, the star. I don't know if those saw play. I don't think they did, but I could be wrong. I don't they did see some play. Okay, yeah, so they saw play. Um, standards. The Oma Star did the ops. That's not the right card. Ops here from Team Up didn't see play. The Oma Star is like because the computers had to be in the active, so the Oma Star had to. It could be on the bench. That card was like decent, yes. Um, there's something here. I think maybe playable feels fine. It's definitely, I guess, a quote interesting card. I mean, annoying card, but an interesting card to see whether it will see play or not. We have the next card here, which is Fossil Excavation Site, putting two fossils essentially from your deck onto your bench, and it searches them. So this is good. I mean, it searches fossils. Fossils are like notoriously super hard to search for. You could search for them using like Team Rocket's Petrol, I guess. But Team Rocket's Petrol now can just search this and then find two. So yeah, Fossil Excavation Site is super good. I mean, this card is really good. It pairs with not good cards, but I will put it in pretty good. Legitimately amazing, except the cards around it are legitimately quite bad. Tortuga is okay, and the rest are all not really like. I mean, the Archeops is kind of fun. Most of them aren't even worth a thought. I mean, the Bastion kind of is as well. So there's some kind of playable-ish stuff here. And then the Tortuga is interesting. Tortuga's legitimately good. I'm definitely going to talk about this at some point, probably make a full video on it. Because I legitimately think Tortuga could be meta. I'm not predicting that it will be. I'd say I'm like 40% there. But Tortuga's so good. I mean, so much damage potentially. It's just decent damage. We were talking about these like 1 energy single prizers. This decent damage is going to be, better than the basics, but it is a stage 1 there, so that to be expected. I mean, I played with Tortuga. People see Tortuga and they're like, "What does that do? That card's broken." I played it with Cinderace. People are like, "Cinderace, that card's crazy," and Tortuga like that card's crazy when you set it up. They're hard to set up. So, I think it's good. I think it's legitimately good. Like, going to see some play. Like, I'd be shocked if no one plays Tortuga, like at any, like if we never see, because right now, oh, actually, now that I think about it, Tortuga actually is on here, so played in Slowking. It's played occasionally. It's like it's okay if you played it. It's okay-ish. Fossil Excavation Site though, I'd be surprised if we don't see a handful of people play it. I would not be shocked if it legitimately becomes like a meta card as well. I have the next card, which I was also shocked about. I guess the Toucan, you can draw a card each turn. You do 60, 20 more for each bench Pokemon. Could have seen some play. It's mediocre, I guess. I'll put it at the top of maybe playable. I really don't expect to see play going forward in the future. It's not a super good deck, but it's okay. It's all right. Maybe playable there. It's not very interesting. I'm honestly shocked that it has seen some play in Japan, but I mean it is a new card, right? But there are like more interesting new cards, so I think this card again won't really like. I think it's going to be completely forgotten about in like 6 months or something like that. Unlike like Mega Extra, I don't think will be completely forgotten about in 6 months. I think people will be like, "What does that card do?" I'm like, "I've never heard of this card." Um, so that's not looking super promising for it there, but it's okay. Has like just decent stats, I suppose. Not super good stats, but okay stats. Then we have a weird card. I believe it's called a retry badge. Yeah, lets you reflip coin flips on colorless Pokemon. There are a handful. No Mega Kangaskhan Candy-X. Relying on coin flips isn't good. Mega Kangaskhan Candy-X, though, obviously is good. Not because you rely on the coin flips. That's the scary part about it. But it's just a good card because of the draw, right? So Kangaskhan Candy-X is good. Retry badge works with it. There's a handful of different things that you can do with retry badge that are kind of fun, and I mean Mega Audino EX as well. Mega Audino EX is legitimately good. Card that I think is, I would say it's the most underrated card in the game, I guess, but it's pretty underrated. Like Mega Audino EX is legitimately good in basic box style decks. I guess I don't really play basic box, but I've seen some people play it, and the reason I'm thinking it's not as underrated as it once was is because people are actually playing it. Retard Badge, I think, is good with Mega Audino EX. I think it's not super good with Mega Kangaskhan EX. If you're playing both, you'll probably put it in as a one of. I think it feels fine there, especially with like Knocked Out if you're playing that to search it out, which I think you could be doing. I think Retard Badge is like maybe playable there. Going to be in that tier. It's not super good. We've seen effects like this in the past. They're okay, I guess. I'm trying to think. There's like Glimwood Tangle. recent one, and that card saw some play, apparently, to Genesect with Radiant Jirachi. And there's this like Grammar Dice. So there's like some fun stuff here that you could do, I guess, with Glimmer Tangle, which is kind of similar. Retry Badge is kind of similar there. Like maybe playable is fine, I think. I think this is looks like the more promising Glimmer Tangle. We've seen some other ones in the past be good as well. Then we have the Special Lightning Energy. This one is pretty good. Volt Lightning Energy. You do 20 more. That's good. We see cards like this in the past. They're good. Card is, I'll put at the top of mediocre. I mean, I legitimately think it's pretty good, except the cards around it are also not good. Yeah, I think it's like worse than Fossil Excavation uh, Site or whatever. I would legitimately put this in staple if like the fossils were good. I'd probably put in pretty good, but it's just not quite pretty good because again, the cards around it aren't very good. But yeah, the fact is good. And then we have Volt Lightning Energy, or we have Volt Lightning Partner, which is Mega Zero or EX, I guess. This one does damage equal to Lightning Energy attached to or hit and run. I want to include this in case, Lightning fans out there. I'm a bit of a Lightning fan. I'll put this at the maybe playable. It's, I guess, the most exciting Lightning card we've seen in a little while. If there have been good Lightning cards that I'm forgetting about. My favorite card is yellow. I haven't seen my profile because, and if you haven't, you should subscribe so you see it more. But anyways, looking at Lightning, we got Raging Bolt. No, have Mega Manectric and Joltik. Joltik Box was okay. I was never also funnily enough, like what I was not expecting. I was not expecting Walking Wakiak. That was definitely not what I was expecting. But anyways, so this normal Joltik Box, I'm not very familiar with the deck. I mean, I was familiar somewhat when I played Miraidon. Obviously, it doesn't play that anymore. Anyway, so you got like Joltik, and you got like some different Lightning Pokemon that were okay at times, but Lightning's been pretty not very good for quite a while. So, yeah, I don't think Megazord or long story short is going to be the solution there. I think it's kind of sort of playable-ish. So I don't really expect to see play. I think as a card, it's okay-ish there. I do like big basics, I guess, but in the current metagame as well, big megas just aren't super good unless, again, they have utility there. You technically have some utility with hit and run as well, being, I guess, a good hit and run Pokemon. But hit and run generally, I'd say, isn't good. I mean, I've seen it with Mega Latias EX, but that's not really a good deck. And that was definitely not a legit deck because the group on it, I always said don't subscribe, because you should subscribe because I'm going to be doing more content on the set Pitch Black, as well as some other stuff as well, and some cool card design stuff. I got some really cool content coming up as well. But give me ideas as well in the comment section. But I hope you all enjoyed. Make sure you like and subscribe. As I said, it really does help support me in the channel, and I like to make fun content like this and interact with the community as well. I just really love it, as well as support from my YouTube members as well. And I got my Discord server as well, where there's stuff, specifically some custom card stuff, if you are interested in that, which I like. People don't. The videos don't do very well, but if you like it, make sure you support it because the more support you show me, especially with something like that, which is something that people like but is more niche, I'm more likely to do more content like that if I get more support for that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and as I said, see you in the next video.